This episode is really about what's the guilt that we feel that's attached to being chilled and relaxed when we must.
Yeah, it's such a good topic because I really don't know of too many people that um, indulge in these self-care activities without feeling some sense of guilt, especially women, and I have memories growing up where I would be with my mom and she might be getting her nails done or something. And she's like just constantly looking at her watch
Mm.
because she's thinking she has to get home and do stuff. And I know I find myself doing that sometimes when I'm getting a massage and feeling like, oh my God, when I get home, I better get to cranking on this and that. And we just thought, wow, that seems like a topic to discuss.
I just don't think this is the bailiwick just of women because, man, when you really want to relax, there is, for people who are constantly trying to achieve and get to the next level, there is definitely a feeling of maybe some shame, maybe some guilt. Like, do I deserve to get a massage? I mean, I love massages a couple of times a month, but there's all the conflicting things that come in. Well, if I'm doing that, then, you know, there's something that I'm not going to be able to do.
But do men think about that when they're playing golf?
I do, believe it or not.
No. See,
maybe I'm just talking about me. I don't really know what other people feel, but I think it's like, okay, I don't feel as guilty about going to walk in nature or go for a run because I know that's also got a side benefit of being healthy and all that, and allows yourself to connect with yourself. But somehow a massage or doing something else, that's where you're reading a book. You just have this block time, right? 45 minutes or 1 hour reading the book or doing this, and then you go, I haven't done this. So then you just sometimes not do what's really good for you.
No, you still didn't answer my question about whether men
Golf?
feel that way when they're playing golf and they're, doing that for hours. I joke because I know so many people where, and this isn't a man or woman thing, because I think at the end of the day, we're talking about the same thing, which is the importance of giving yourself space to just be.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's really necessary. I don't know about you, but, I certainly feel on certain days this incredible need to just take a nap. And when I know I probably should just allow myself to do that, wow, the torment sometimes that I put myself through, because if I do that, then I lose an hour or two, and then these are the things that's not happening. And when you're a business owner, when you're a startup, every minute counts. And so, I really want to talk about that because I think so many of our listeners probably struggle with that same thing. And I know we've spoken to some of our clients about that very thing. But today, the way we're living today, ever since 2020 and working from home, we just require a different level of rest and relaxation than perhaps before, when we were doing a lot outside of the house.
Well, that's why there are these designated spaces, right? I mean, we had work. You go to work. Even if you were traveling to work, let's say on a train or driving, there is time and space to do something that you've designated yourself to do then. On the other hand, in this way of working, this past 15 or 18 months, it's been about you expanding your resting places, your workplaces, and, kitchen. Everything is expanding into a work.
And they're all kind of just like blending into each other. And, you bring up such a great point. If you are someone who used to commute, for me, I use my commute time, provided I wasn't driving, to sort of unwind and to just sort of release the day. But even when driving, you can still release the day, even though you're driving, because driving for me is always about processing certain things. And by the time I get to my destination, if we're talking about work to home, then you kind of start anew. But
Right.
without that space
Yes.
in between your activities, it just means that maybe we're really working longer.
Well, that's what I'm
And
saying. There's no distinction between a Sunday or a Saturday, because I've just noticed myself doing Sunday calls because I tell them I'm so busy Monday through Friday. Can I just have a half-hour call with you on Sunday? And people are willing to do that. But I'm giving up that space, and I just feel like more boundaries, more block time is actually requiring more discipline, right? And I guess maybe there are a few things we should just simply say. What do you do? And how do you set these boundaries? What does it take for you to be mindful, intentional, that you create those spaces that are necessary? And if it means you go get a massage, you go get a walk, you got to find time for that.
meditate, I mean, we're not just simply talking about the obvious, mani-pedi and all those types of self-care. But yeah, the very idea of creating boundaries around your workday and planning in downtime, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
Because as we've realized in this past year and a half, if you don't schedule it, that includes downtime, it just doesn't happen.
Right. This was the case before too. I mean, you needed to do that. I just think that what we're trying to highlight here is, because we're facing that, you facing that, I face that it must be an issue for many of us, many of you listening, that, hey, how do you create this? Because it seems to us that now with the pandemic and everything being in one place, you need more discipline, more consciousness, more awareness to be able to save, or not, that's not the word I'm looking for, to capture the time that you really need for you.
And I think what we're saying too is emotions like guilt or shame, or, just that judgment that I think if you're an achiever, it's so easy to feel like, wow, I just didn't do enough today. And that's simply not true, because if you are taking time to create space for yourself so that you can be in the right mind, so that you can actually be present for, besides you, for your family, especially if you live with others, taking time for you to give yourself that space to be able to be, a better human, that's really, really productive work. And I think we've just always seen it, from a very different, limited perspective. And, this idea of pausing, scheduling it, going for a walk in nature, giving yourself time to close your eyes, take a breath, and creating that space like we've been saying all along, and, nurturing yourself, giving to yourself, perhaps in a way that you are not used to doing. I think that's just so amazing. Plus, you'll be setting such a great example, especially if you have children, that, it isn't just about do, that in fact, we can accomplish even more if we give ourselves time to be.
That's the part that's hard for most achievers and high achievers to feel convinced about, that if you're resting and you really like yesterday, I was so tired, just maybe take the 20-minute nap. The guilt that you feel of taking that because you missed out on something, actually, it's almost better to do that. Take the 20 minutes, half an hour, so you can come back powerful and re-energized and rejuvenated and produce more, because we know we can bend time if you really get into flow. It's just you have to allow yourself to get into that flow. And some of these are techniques. So number one is to really just find a way to relax, that whatever it takes for you to relax, meditate, go into silence, whatever. Number two is really, really schedule the downtime breaks, right?
Yeah, be intentional about it.
Be intentional.
Because we've found too that anytime you're doing block times, even though it may seem like you're going to cut yourself off right when you're, in the middle of something great, But when you actually do that and you're present to the fact that you're doing that to preserve your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual energy, if you can remember to do that, yeah, bending time becomes something that is more of a routine versus something that you come across once in a blue moon. And that just takes, the creativity, the productivity to a whole other level.
Yeah.
And something that would normally have taken you 2 hours to do, you might be able to do in half the time or even less than that.
Right.
So, the thing here is, again, release the judgment, release the guilt. Before we recorded this episode, believe it or not, we actually thought, oh my God, people are going to hear this and think we're just sitting here relaxing. There was even that piece about it, like the guilt about, well, we just,
Or they might judge us for, are you kidding me? You want to go for a massage and you're going to spend money on that? And, shouldn't you be doing this instead? And we fall into that trap because someone's going to say something that doesn't gel with you. Well, you know what? It's if you're in sync with your heart and you know that you know what you need at that moment, well, then you just need to shun the idea of the judgment.
And sometimes the people that are dishing out the judgment are the people that are closest to you. And, the thing is, and we talk to our clients about this all the time too. The way to change someone else's mind is not really to go about trying to change their mind. It's just to go about being you. And if you can demonstrate the essence of you, who you are and who you be, because you're taking care of yourself, you become that much more fun and, easy to be around. And listen, who wouldn't want that? Like, if it's your husband or your wife or your mother or your child, like giving you a hard time about giving to yourself, well, show them the benefit by being who you are when you do give to yourself, and encourage them to do the same through your action and through your way of being, not from what you say, right? So I think that's why we love the idea of, we always say we love coaching, because you never need to coach the entire family. You just need one person to start shifting their own beliefs, their own thoughts, their own ideas, and then their actions change, and then everybody else's also then begins to shift.
And I think the third thing is boundaries, right? How do you set boundaries for yourself? How often do you say no to things and interruptions? I know for a fact that, as I was saying to you earlier, I think I've had so much slippage in, just saying yes to things because you have this notion that you have more time, that you're not traveling, that you're not going anywhere. And somehow you created more time and capacity to work more, which may or may not be the case. I would rather finish reading 2 books that are sitting on my shelf that are half done than say yes to things that are not helping me or our business or our collective. So frankly, reading actually helps our business more, right? Because it sharpens our saw. It helps us dig within deeper. You pick up new learnings. So these are just things that work for me. Maybe it's golf for some people. I haven't played golf this year at all.
Yes,
to be clear.
I was waiting for you to talk about that, because the thing is, if you know specifically what the activities are that help put you in that zone, then you got to give yourself more time to do that. So for me, there are just certain things that I must give to myself on a regular basis, because I know that it helps me. And by me giving to me in that way, I then am able to really honor my time, my space, myself. And can you imagine, the world if more people honored themselves in that way? Because what we give to ourselves, we give to others. So,
indeed.
Yeah.
So back to the 3 things. Number 1, find ways to relax completely for yourself. Take your time that you need. Leave aside all the judgments and the guilt that you feel and other people feel for you. Number 2 is to create the block time, schedule downtime, activity. And third, boundaries for yourself that allow you to then go within the space you need to go to, or do the things that give you joy. And these are all probably colors of the same thing we're talking about, but, just easier to think in terms of, 3 things or some kind of a framework. So whatever it takes for you to not feel the guilt and not the shame that you're doing something or you're stealing time away from something else or somebody else. And, you're finding, if you do those things, you're really finding a way to really sharpen yourself. So you get into flow the more times you're back into the activity that you need to be in.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's a great idea if I didn't have kids and I wasn't homeschooling, or that's a great idea if I wasn't working 2 jobs, or whatever it is you're thinking, all the reasons as to why you can't give yourself any time more than what you're doing for yourself now. If you're making those excuses to hear this and to not actually allow yourself to shift, if that's you, then you absolutely must find a way to find space, because nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you're sitting there and you're arguing for your limited time, guess what? You will continue to live with that same level of understanding and consciousness about time. So, that's just really the way it is. The more you find reason not to do something is exactly the reason why you should, because then once you expand your perspective on a subject such as this one, all you need is a tiny little shift, and a broader perspective can help you be more creative to find that time that you need to create space for yourself. And once you actually experience some of that, then more ideas come, and before you know it, one day you look at this time of your life and you're like, I don't even know why I thought something was so hard. And if there's a will, there's a way, right?
Exactly. And 24 hours, that's given to everybody, right? That's all we got. It's the 20-80 rule again. If you can spend 80% of your time, energy, focus on the things that move the needle for you, I dare say that these techniques of sleeping and finding these moments for yourself are certainly in that 80% that you can move it so fast. So that's what we have for today.
Yeah. Because now we're going to go relax.
And I haven't been playing golf this year. So, all right. Maybe I'll find...
It's only May 4th and we live in New York. So let's not be...
All right. We will not complain about that. Yes. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.